A new drug for postpartum depression could be life-saving for suffering mothers, but like most new medications, there are still high hurdles to overcome, like accessibility, affordability. But do the benefits outweigh the disadvantages? Joining us this morning with more, we have Guerra, APRN and Director of the Peripartum Program at the Institute of Living with Harvard Healthcare. Thanks so much for being here. All right, this is a long time coming that this is the first drug the FDA has approved for postpartum depression.
Well, thank you for having me here this morning, Jocelyn. And it is. And I think that one of the things that's very important about this new medication is that it really is a game changer. It's a different type of medication than others. The last big game changer in my experience was back in '87 when they brought fluoxetine or Prozac on board. It was a different type of medication. It operated on serotonin alone. This new medication operates on GABA, a new neurotransmitter system that we can now treat in a specific way.
And it's applied, I believe women receive it through the IV, intravenously, correct?
Yes, and I think that's, not only is that one of the areas that could be stressful for some moms, but it's also one of the areas that's important. The onset of action of this medication helping can be somewhere between 24 and 60 hours.
So it acts quicker than the other medications?
Compared to typical antidepressants that might take 2 weeks up to 4 to 6 to 8 weeks or longer to have efficacy. So it really acts quickly, and that's really underlying why it's a game changer.
But the problem here is it is rather costly.
You know, it's one of the things that we hope with new medications, and it's not just brexanolone that has this difficulty, the research costs. We're hoping that now that the FDA has approved this, as insurance companies and providers start to use it, and if it has the same success that it's had in its research trials, we're hoping that's going to reduce cost over time.
And the side effects of this drug? Well,
one of the bigger side effects is sedation. About 30% of women during the trials had sedation, and I think it has to be not only IV infused over 60 hours, but in a monitored site, because about 4% of the moms had kind of a somnolent fatigue event where they really had to stop the trial. So it has to be in a monitored setting, and I think that's another thing that moms have to be aware of.
Let's talk about postpartum depression. So many women suffer from it after having given birth.
You hear different statistics, 1 in 9, 10 to 20%, but overall a large number of moms suffer from postpartum depression, and that's to be distinguished from baby blues. 80% of moms might experience in the first several days after delivering, and then up to a couple of weeks, periods of sadness or tearfulness or sleep difficulties. Postpartum depression is an amplification or an intensification of those symptoms.
So what are the symptoms women really need to be focused on when it comes to postpartum depression?
Well, I think women and families need to be aware that if mom's experiencing a depressed mood, decreased interest in activities, periods of time of maybe hopelessness, a feeling that I'm not being a good mom, even thoughts of death or suicide can all be part of a postpartum depressive episode.
So if you notice something like that, you really need to get them to open up.
Well, that's one of the reasons we started a program at the Institute of Living for postpartum depression, because having a focused assessment by a provider, and it might be with your obstetrician, so it might start out with the obstetrician, but then if you have like a mild postpartum depression, if that's what is assessed, then sometimes a support group or therapy can help. But usually if it's moderate to severe symptoms, you need a gold standard, which is medication and therapy, and going to a specialist at that time is important.
Guerra, thanks so much for joining us and sharing this important information with a lot of women out there.
Thank you for the opportunity.
You're welcome. All right, now let's send you over to Laura in the kitchen.